Welcome to Stream Talk. I am your host, Retro Joe. This is the premiere episode of Stream Talk, and what I aim to do here is to talk about streaming, talk shop, as they say. And we have a special guest today. We have Greg from Next Gen Gaming. Hello, Greg. Welcome.
How's it going, guys?
So what we're going to do is talk about streaming, talk about how me and Greg got into it, how we feel about it, what insights we can offer, and hopefully you find it interesting and insightful, and you get a little bit of an inside view of what goes on behind the scenes, how we feel about things, some of the tech stuff, some of the nuances with the games. Things like that. So we'll get into it here. I'm going to get the multi-chat up in just a sec, and we will say hello to everyone. And we'll see how it goes. So this is the premiere episode, and we'll see. Maybe we'll do some more in the future, have other streamers on, and see what happens. So here we go. Welcome in, everyone. Welcome in. We got a 100-star drop from Jamie Groves. Let's go. Don't you hate it when you're trying to stream and some b-head interrupts you by sending stars? Oh, man, dude. Oh, man. So, yeah, the b-head. Yes. All right. So we're going to get it started. And the first thing we're going to start out with is I'm going to introduce my guest. This is Greg from Next Gen Gaming, and he is a content creator, a live streamer, and all kinds of other cool stuff that we'll figure out as we go on in the interview. And it's not so much as a formal interview, it's more of just a casual conversation. I call it an interview because I don't really know what else to call it. But all right, let's get it started. And first of all, I want to say thank you, Greg, for doing this. I appreciate it.
No problem, man.
I'm sure it will be insightful to a lot of people who are interested in streaming. And we'll see what happens. We'll see how it goes. So first, I want to ask you, Greg. We're gonna get to know Greg a little bit here. I'm going to ask you, what game do you think? And this is across all genres and all time, all eras, all gaming eras. What game do you think is overrated?
And I know we're going to disagree here, man. But it's definitely Echoes of Wisdom. Just because I'm an old school Zelda player, and I feel like that they made Echoes of Wisdom for the new audience, for the kids, for the Minecrafters, for the people that wanted to build their crafter. And I didn't want to build a crafter. I'm just an old school. I wanted the 2D better. I just didn't want to do beds and trampolines. This wasn't my thing. But I mean, otherwise, obviously, good game. It's a Zelda game still. So, yeah.
So Echoes of Wisdom.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's an interesting thing. When I first played that game, I was trying to figure out what their target audience was with that game. And, I was like, teenage girls, young girls, not even teenage girls, like younger girls, right? Because you play as Zelda. She's got the ponytail that whips around. You know what I mean? So it's that aesthetic. It's very cartoony. It's very cutesy. So Echoes of Wisdom was interesting. What's your take on it as far as what do you think the goal of Nintendo was with that game? Do you think it was connecting to a younger generation?
Exactly. I think they were trying to pick up a younger generation, but they were, in the same sense, they were trying to appease to the older generation with the map setup, the 2D look, and even getting to finally play as Zelda,
Yeah.
So it wasn't exactly all towards the front end of it.
The other thing one thing I appreciated about Echoes of Wisdom was the menu setup. So it was very similar to modern Zelda games like Tears of the Kingdom and Breath of the Wild, where you have the quick access to the items. Let me ask you this. Did you beat the game?
I did not. I didn't play far enough into it. I watched you play it.
All right. There you go. Okay, so overrated. Greg says Echoes of Wisdom, and again, what was one of the top reasons why you thought it was overrated?
Just because it was more hijacked and appeasing to a newer audience. It was just more a matter of opinion, honestly. It's just I wanted something different than what it ended up being. That's what it is.
Okay, cool. Yeah. So I'm gonna go with my overrated, and I'm not gonna make friends with this one. And I know it's an unpopular opinion, but I'm gonna go with Super Smash Bros. So that is my overrated, and I'll tell you a quick story about it. I was in college, and this was like 2013, 2014, and everyone was obsessed with it. It was like the cool thing to do, right? Go to your buddy's house, a bunch of people there, all playing Super Smash Bros. And I immediately felt like it was a little bit of a gimmick where and I know I'm gonna get backlash from this because I know a lot of people really like that game and they like the technical aspect of it where it's the moves, it's the special moves, it's learning all those, and it's a fighting game. It's a fighting game. Yeah. But I felt like what Nintendo did was they said, all right, we're gonna take all our popular games and put all the characters in one game and just have a fighting game, and that's it. And so I feel like it was overrated for that reason. It was like, all right, all our popular, what's the word I'm looking for, Greg? Help me out. Franchises. All the popular franchises.
All the IPs, yeah. Yep. Everything that they could possibly sell or appease to somebody, they threw it in there.
Yeah, so I felt like it was kind of a money grab type thing or whatever, but that, you know, that's what it was. I used to go over my friend's house when, like I said, when I was in college, and everyone would be obsessed with it, and I would be like, this is really boring. So I never participated. So anyway, that's my overrated. That's my overrated.
My son, my son does esports for Super Smash Bros.
Ah, okay. So I hope he's not watching the stream.
No, he's really good. Yeah, he plays this little Mac, and he played the other team in the city. He's on South Middle School. He played North, and him and the other number one on our team essentially wiped the entire team twice. They lost one stock each and took out 15 each, so 30 to 2. They beat them really bad. So it was nice.
Wow.
Proud of the guys.
Yeah, and at the same time, I do appreciate the technicality of the game, and I played fighting games, when I was younger, so I appreciate that part. I just feel like it was overrated. All right, Greg, sure. Next one. Here we go. This is where you make people happy. What game across all genres, all eras, do you think is underrated?
I think Killer Instinct got the underrate just because I think it was a lot due to the time because Mortal Kombat was out, Street Fighter was out. They were the big names, they were the big companies, and Killer Instinct was just kind of there and coming up. But it was still the game for the combos and all the good graphics, all the tie together. I don't know. It was good just because I think it was more geared towards the combos and tying your moves together. And the other games were just 1 or 2 shot moves. You know, it wasn't so much combo related.
Yeah. Okay. So I actually never owned Killer Instinct, but what console did that come out for initially?
I think they did arcade first and then got ported to the Super Nintendo.
All right. Now, like I said, I didn't play it much, but were there special moves and stuff like that? Kind of similar to like Street Fighter.
In Street Fighter, you would get your initial like sonic boom. It was more like a 1 or 2 hit thing. Killer Instinct was really geared toward just doing tons of combos, as Jesse's saying there in chat. Killer combo, ultra combo. The more you would tie together, the announcers just going off with these types of combos. It was really cool. Eventually, you would get to the ultra combo, which is like anywhere between like 21 hits all the way up to like 50 hits in this one type of combo. It's like a finisher.
All right. Cool. Okay, so what's my underrated game? Can you guess, Greg?
Underrated?
You
Probably
know me.
Zelda 2.
Yes.
Let's
go. Zelda 2 is my Zelda 2 is my underrated game, and I'll tell you why. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why. I feel like it's a little bit subtle and not complicated, but the combat mechanics I think are underrated in that game. And I know there's a lot of talk on social media. I mean, the game gets a lot of hate, Zelda 2, but I feel like
Hard.
it's hard. Yeah, the combat mechanics and the physics in the game. It's very subtle, and I think they did a good job of paying attention to detail with the combat mechanics and the physics with that game. And I think it's a little bit too subtle and too nuanced for people. I think that was what the problem was. And it was also a very big difference from Zelda 1, which, is the big criticism of it. But I also heard that the Nintendo dev team back then wasn't a fan of it. So I don't, have you heard of any of that?
I haven't heard of it if they were a fan of it or not, but yeah, Zelda 2 is definitely a different make than the first one. I think it was really good and technical. It being hard is a lot of the reason why I get the backlash, because between the open world and then going into the 2D side scrolling, dude, there's not many games on the NES that went into that much depth. And on top of all of the items that you can collect and everything, Zelda 1 and 2 were both where it's at, man. Zelda 2 is essentially what I think it's referred to as the Kaizo of Zelda's, just because it is so hard. It's a good game though, man. I really like Zelda 2. It's one of the most nostalgic for me.
Absolutely. And DA Neil, thank you for that 1,000-star drop. Appreciate that, brother. So I think we've discussed this before off camera, but the Zelda 2 ROM hacks. Now, the Zelda 2 ROM hacks are what I said in stream, and I don't think many people agreed with me, is the Kaizo of Zelda.
Right.
The Zelda 2 ROM hacks, because just like in Mario Kaizo, where they put you in compromising positions, they have you do really tricky jump mechanics, like really tricky jumps, where you have to take advantage of your environment to get over pits and things like that. They do that in a lot of these Zelda 2 ROM hacks. And if Zelda 2 wasn't hard enough, it's like, dude, you're making it even harder.
Yeah.
It went from a 9.5 to a 10, like right off the bat and beyond.
Big time.
But
this is why I say Retro Joe's the better Zelda player for sure.
There you go, man. Thank you. I appreciate that.
I got no business with that Zelda 2 stuff.
It's tough.
I like it, but I'm not great at it.
It's tough. Yeah. You just got to get the combat mechanics down, and then you're on your way. All right. So getting to know you a little bit better, Greg. So I want to ask you about your background as a content creator, a streamer. Like what kind of led you down this path that I know, because I walked down the same path. So maybe not exactly the same, but
sure.
So let me ask you what made you start to get into content creation, and like how did you get into it?
Really, I was just a gamer. I play the game first. That's what I ultimately do, and what I ultimately started with. And then I think it was 2018, somewhere in there. I would do a couple of videos with the fellas doing Fortnite. And that's where like the first couple of videos started, but it was nothing like live stream. It wasn't like all through NextGen. It was very unofficial on my like personal Facebook profiles like that. But yeah, then really prior to that, what NextGen started out as is I was buying, selling, repairing PS4s, PS3s, buying games and accessories like in bulk. I'd see people's posts on Facebook Marketplace or Craigslist, and I'd ask them if they'd take less or if they'd be ready to meet up, and I could go pick up their item and sell it or buy it from them. And then I would take out some of the games, and I would take the system down to just a controller and the system itself and resell it, kind of like a small game store. And that worked out for a long time. And then really, I was just trying to get some more eyes on that type of business and grow through that. And little did I know that it was going live and stuff was not going to focus so much on being local stuff. It was going to get me connected to the outer world that wanted me to see me play games, which that's how I started doing. And I started playing. Before I started playing, I started looking around on what games I wanted to play, what would be even suitable for streaming. For me, if I could even do it. And I ran across Super Dave playing Kaizo, Joy of Kaizo, that Bob Ross Kaizo hack, and I was hooked immediately. Like, what is this? This modded Mario. I played Super Mario World when I was young. I mean, I was all about it, and from there, dude, I was hooked on it, and I just went after it.
Nice, nice. So basically, you started streaming Fortnite? Is that what you said? You started live
Well,
streaming?
I did. I played Fortnite quite a bit with the boys before we did any streams or anything. But yeah, we did do a few streams way back. I think it was 2018. But it was just from the PS4. It was not an actual official stream, more so like we do now, where we come on with an introduction, a cam, or anything. It was just gameplay.
Right, right. And you can, the PS4, I don't know if any console before that had the built-in streaming capability. I want to say it was one of the first consoles that had it. Yeah. So, cool. So, and then doing like selling stuff, marketplace, stuff like that.
Yep.
Yeah, that's cool. Yeah. So let me ask you this then. So just going live with gameplay is one thing, right? But going live with a mic, a camera, a gameplay, and a chat all at the same time is something else entirely. And let me ask you this then. How did you feel the first time you went live with a camera, a microphone, and a chat?
You don't know what to feel, being in all honesty. It's like it's confusing at first because you don't know is anybody going to be watching, and the second somebody comes in and starts watching and says something to you, you don't even know what to say or how to respond, or did you even see the comment? Were you absorbing the game? Like, there's so many things you're just thinking is wrong or right. So what am I doing? And you're just nervous. I feel like ultimately I was just nervous. I'm just not an entertainer. So I just play the games and hang out, and luckily I found a community that allows me to do that, and we get a good healthy mix of both.
So you never did the cell phone stream thing?
No, I don't think I did a cell phone stream. I played game. Okay, so I would play the game with the fellas. So my computer, I know it was my PS4 had gone down and it wasn't working, or I didn't have one. And I had a phone that played Fortnite, and I would log on the phone and play Fortnite with the fellas just because it was a way to still play. That was as far as I went. I don't think I ever did any mobile streams.
So when I first started streaming, I used to set up a tripod and aim my phone to the TV, right? And I would sit behind the tripod, and I could see the chat because it would come up on the phone. And that's how I did my streams. No face cam.
Yeah, that's
right?
the way to go.
Yeah, no face cam.
Whatever you got to do to get started, you know?
Yeah, yes, absolutely. And I got to tell you, the first time I went live with, chat and everything in my voice, and not necessarily a mic, but, the mic in the phone, my gameplay suffered. I couldn't play right because I was thinking of too many things at once. I was first of all, I was shocked that people were watching me, and second of all, my brain didn't know how to think. It didn't know how to play the game, respond to the chat, and talk at the same time and watch the chat. So I could feel my gameplay suffering. I don't know if you had the same experience.
I did. No, I did. And to alleviate that, how I got to, I had to do Kaizo. And Kaizo is one of those, you got to stare at the screen because it's like on point, like inputs, and you got to be perfect with it. So eventually I realized, I'm like, well, if I learn a Kaizo really well and I don't have to think about it so much, I'll be able to interact with chat and still have good gameplay. So that's where the idea of me doing speed runs came around. And I started doing Karate Kaizo. I learned it really well. And next thing you know, I'm doing clear after clear after clear while still being able to respond to chat because it's muscle memory. I don't have to think about what I'm doing in the game and just letting it go while still responding to chat. And it worked. It worked very well. I got a great push out of it. I got a lot of growth off that first push.
So what game genre were you most comfortable with coming into live streaming and content creation? Like, what was your bread and butter when it came to gaming?
I was obviously I was ready to go with Mario's and Kaizo, but I was also pretty comfortable with doing shooter stuff as well. Doom, Quake, Helldivers now is what I also play. GoldenEye and things like that. Very old school boomer shooter, arena shooter type.
Nice, yeah. GoldenEye was amazing when I was younger. Was that late 90s or midnight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
late
and
90s,
N64.
97, I believe. Yeah, N64. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, N64, which I think was released in 1996, if I'm not mistaken. Sounds about right.
I think the end is something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So,
Very
yeah,
close.
yep. Did you ever get into Madden games?
I did. I did play some Madden. At first, the first Madden games I played were on, I think, Super Nintendo. Um, and it was very easy to manipulate the running and passing and to get around people. I remember that. And then I played a little bit on PC, like Madden 98. I remember playing on PC. On my old school, very first PC is right over here when I was just a young buck. And then I got into playing Madden, I think somewhere in the 06, 07 era with it, where they came out with Hit Stick, and I played that all the way until like Madden 2013, 2014, and then stopped playing because it was the same game every year.
Right, right. Did you get super competitive with it?
Not overly competitive. I wasn't like pro or anything, but I liked to play with friends, and I was decent at it. I was decent.
Yeah, you didn't get the control throw out of your friends?
No, not that I know of. Not that I know of.
Oh, you would know about it.
Right?
Oh, well, I guess
Knock the
playing like
controller out of your hand.
I guess playing like remote, like in other words, over the internet instead of
Well, it
local.
started it started local, like 2006 era, 2007 era. You're going over to the homie's house, and it's on Xbox or on your PlayStation. There, it's not over the internet there.
Right, right, exactly. So I got the control throw from one of my friends playing. I used to be a beast in Madden. I don't know. I mean, I'm not, everyone might not know me that way because I don't play Madden on stream, and I'm not really
right.
I mean, even if there's, I don't know if there's some kind of stereotype that people play Madden, whatever. I don't know if I fit that stereotype, but I used to be a beast.
It's more of a mind game for sure.
It's a mind.
It is just
Yeah, it's a mind game, and it's a mind game and an intimidation game.
Yeah,
it's like
once you figure out their
you know
their
what I'm
game
saying,
plan.
dude?
Exactly. You can start messing with them for sure.
And then you start running plays that just thread the needle right through them every single time. I used to play with a kid across the hall from me. I've told this story on stream before, but he was a type A personality type guy. So he didn't like losing. He was super competitive. He was always the best at everything, right? And I used to destroy him in Madden, and he used to get so mad. He threw his controller at his TV, and I was like, "That's not my controller. It's not my TV." So,
right.
But he used to get super, super competitive with it. But anyway, yeah. So the reason why I ask about the games you're coming into streaming feeling comfortable with is because a lot of the games I stream are games that I'm comfortable with from my childhood, like from my childhood, late teens, early 20s, whatever. So those mechanics and the ability to play those games are kind of like ingrained in your head and in your hands. So coming into streaming and content creation, you kind of want to show off your skills, right? Sometimes you want to go in blind, and like it's a fun time to see the streamer.
It's intimidating to try new stuff though when you're not comfortable with that.
Yeah, 100%. And that's another thing that I think a lot of people don't realize. When streamers go into a live stream with a game that they're not comfortable with and that it was way out of their comfort zone, it's very, I don't know. How would you describe it, Greg?
Well, like I said, it's intimidating because you can get stuck, and then what are you going to do with your audience if you can't, talk your way around or out of it or whatever? I've been incredibly lucky that when I get stuck in games, whether it been Ocarina when I first started, with Kaizo when I first started, or with more recently, I was going to say another one and I just lost it, but Mario 64, there it was. There's always been my community there that said, hey, you can do this or you can do that. Try to do this, try to do that. I've always relied. It's always been us beating the game. It ain't been me beating the game. It's always been us. It's the community-oriented thing.
Right, yeah, and I usually say that too because I consciously or subconsciously feel like I'm bringing the audience along with me through
Right.
the game. So I always say we're going to beat this tonight. We're going to beat this tonight
Yeah.
because we're all in it together. And it's kind of it's really cool. Which brings me to this next question of what do you think streaming and everyone's an individual obviously, and everyone has a different life experience and all that, but what do you think streaming, live streaming, what you do every day, what do you think that means to your audience? Like what do you think, what do you feel like it means? Do you feel like for some people it's an important part of their life, or what do you think?
Well, for me, I think it boils down to directly the streamer. For me, live streaming, it's been up and down. At first, it was slow, and then picked up with the speed runs, and then slowed down for quite a while. But really, I just want to give good content and give something that not is necessarily the same thing anybody or everybody else is giving. It doesn't have to be something brand new, but maybe just in a different way, or with my own brand and my own experiences mixed in with that.
Yeah,
I guess. Go ahead.
No, absolutely. So it goes back to what I was saying before. I think coming to live streams for a lot of people, including myself, by the way, because I watch streams all the time. So I watch streams all the time. I watch gaming content all the time. So for me personally, I feel like I'm part of the community. When I come into your stream, I feel like I'm part of the community. I feel like I'm hanging out with everyone. And just like we were all hanging out in a room, sitting on a couch, playing a game or watching someone play a game. So it means a lot to me personally as a streamer and as a consumer of live streams and of content. And here's the question that I absolutely do have an answer for on my end, but I want to ask you, what does streaming mean to you? Now we're talking about specifically live streaming, not making the VODs and making the edits and all that.
Right. Really, it's engaging with your community. You want like you said, you want them to feel a part of it. You don't want to go in. I mean, you can watch the bigger streamers, but a lot of those bigger streamers are not acknowledging the bazillion chats and everybody that's just rolling through. It's just not happening. The direct engagements with the people is not. Those connections are not being made. And those live stream, for me, it's to connect with the people that are coming in there to talk to me, to hang out, to watch the show, to support me in what I'm doing, and overall follow my longer story. Not just the speed run that I'm doing or the game that I'm playing currently. Really, I played that one and moved on to the next one, and we stuck there, and we had this issue with stars and we stuck there, and we had this other issue with ads and we stuck there, and we kept going, and I was gone for a bit with live streams, but then I was consistent and I came back, and then everybody was still, the whole longer end of the support is what it is for me on the live stream end.
Nice. And just to be clear, you do this full time. This is your full-time job.
Yeah, it's just my end of the income for the house. I do this every day between the VODs and the non-live content and the live stream content. I try to bring at least. I need to be a little more specific and a little bit more consistent with my live streams. That would help my community grow on the live end. But I do miss those streams, and sometimes things just come up. I just don't have that time in the day to get to it. And it just doesn't happen. But I usually come up with 3 or 4, sometimes 5 or 6 3-hour streams a week. So I definitely do this full time. I'm here doing and making money and creating content and having a good time and chat every single day with everybody for sure.
So I see some people asking in the chat already where they can find your content. So let's just skip to that question quickly before we continue with the other stuff I want to ask you. Where can everyone find your content, Greg?
Sure. My content is mostly here on Facebook Gaming. It's through Next Gen Gaming. Just like under my name here, just to search on Facebook to search Next Gen Gaming. And then I don't, I guess I don't have a logo anywhere around me here at the moment, but it's there, guys. It's very simple to find. I've got like 140,000 followers here on Facebook, so I'm simple to find. I will probably fire up YouTube again and start making more content over there, but majority of my content is just right here on Facebook.
All right, cool. All right, so we'll repeat that at the end of the stream just to make sure everyone knows. Excuse me for a sec. So what kind of content do you put out?
Well, I do different types of content. I do several short videos a day. That usually consists of mostly retro videos, whether that's arcade, NES, Super NES, Sega, and these are just usually short videos of pieces of levels or final bosses or whatever, or stuff that Facebook likes to push out. And we just try to pull in as much ad revenue and much content revenue as we can from that. And of course, the live streams usually consist of Zelda or Kaizo, something along those lines. But I do some newer stuff, often GTA 5. I plan on getting into GTA 6. We play Helldivers 2 as well. So mostly retro with a touch of newer stuff.
You ever do the role playing with GTA 5?
I did not. I didn't get into that. It's a cool thing. It's kept that game going for the longest time. It's got so much viewership and everything going through that. But roleplay is not something I got into.
Cool. You said something interesting when you were answering that. Is that I think the phrase you use was what stuff Facebook likes to put out. Now that implies that there is a certain type of content, certain type it's arranged, certain format that it's in that you think Facebook is more likely to put out. And before you address that, I have to say, from my perspective, and probably yours too, we really don't know what Facebook algorithm's doing because it's a proprietary thing. They're engineers, they design it, they don't just release it to everyone. So we really don't know for 100% sure how the algorithm works. But us as content creators and live streamers, we kind of have to dig through the weeds a little bit and try to figure it out. And what you said in that last answer was, the phrase, what Facebook likes to put out. So can you elaborate on that a little bit?
Sure. Well, in recent years, with the rise of TikTok and the follow of that, a lot of content has gone shorter form. And shorter as we've gone on. It seems like we're lucky to have, I think, 90 seconds in Reels. To have that, I think it started out at 30 seconds and they went up. But we're lucky to have that much time in there. But they're pushing shorts, a lot of it, whether it be Reels or short video. And I find that if you're able to at least kind of cater to your audience and understand what your audience is built of, mine mostly being 25 to 50-year-olds, older retro content, like I can obviously get a decent amount of traffic and get my video off the ground and get initial amount of engagement with it. And then Facebook's like, oh, hey, that's getting some traffic. Maybe we can show that to some more people. And it usually works out. Not every time, it depends on the day. There's several factors that can make a video work or not work. Whether, like you said, whether that be resolution or the name of the video, if their systems are broken at the time or not, which does happen.
So Facebook has this thing where it's almost like a checklist. It says, all right, publish 6 videos, publish 2 reels, publish 1 ad, and it has this checklist, and it's like your weekly things they want you to do, right? So from what I've found, and I usually don't get the checklist done. I put my live streams out and that's pretty much it, right? That's my thing. So first of all, I feel like a lot of platforms, they kind of try to steer you a certain way. And in my opinion, I don't think that allows the creator to be as creative as it kind of restricts their creativity.
Totally agree.
Yeah, so but that's another discussion. But they have these check boxes, the things that you have to do during the week. And from what I've seen is if you do those things that they want you to do, if you check all those boxes, they will increase your reach.
Okay.
So
I've seen two sets of those metrics to hit. One in your professional dashboard you would find on your phone, and then the other one in your live stream creator studio on your live dashboard there. I don't normally hit the one on the live dashboard one on the creator studio, but the rising creator one on your phone, if you hit that one, that one's definitely, I've noticed that they give you a little bit of a bump. It seems to me, I've been able to hold it for a few weeks in a row, and again, my content's doing pretty well at the moment, I feel like.
Yeah. I feel like the algorithm really is not that sophisticated, and the reason why I say that is because last week, I mean, not in relation to what you said, just in general, it's not as sophisticated. Because last week, was it last week or the week before? I did a Mario 3 stream. Okay, I usually don't stream Mario 3, and I did a full game, no warps, all the way through, and
it was a big.
Yeah, it did great. It was a very good stream. Yeah. And Facebook sent me an alert or message in my notifications and said something to the effect of, we're increasing your reach because you consistently post unique and what were the words they used? Unique
original content.
And original content. And the first thing I thought of was, wait, since when did playing Mario 3 constitute unique original content? And what I think happened was, I mean, nothing against it, right? I mean, I streamed it. It was awesome. I mean, but what's so it's
one of those games that cater to the audience, Joe, that Facebook can definitely depend on somebody watching that.
Okay, so I think you nailed it.
Yeah.
Why not just say your stream did really well? We're increasing your reach.
Yeah.
I think the reason why it did well is because Mario 3 is a cool game. It's a popular game, and I went through it pretty well, if I do say so myself. And I thought it was smooth. I had some trouble at the end with Bowser for some reason, but I have this mental block, Greg, where I go through difficult games and then I get to the final boss, and what happens?
Is with you.
I get a mental block or something. I'm like, I did so well the whole game, this huge difficult game, and then at the end, I just can't. What's the basketball term? Close it or
close it? Yeah, clutch it.
Yeah, clutch or whatever.
Yeah, clutch, that's it.
But anyway, yeah. So pretty weird there. And in relation to TikTok, you mentioned TikTok earlier. I feel like, and this is just this again, I don't know how TikTok's algorithm works. I'm not a software engineer there. I don't know how it works.
Right.
But I feel like TikTok is high throughput. Do you know what I mean by that?
I don't. Go for it.
So people will scroll through lives. They'll open their TikTok feed and they'll watch a live for like a second or two, and they'll scroll, and then they'll scroll through lives, right? That's kind of how TikTok's designed, right? To scroll through short videos or scroll through videos. So, and the reason why I say that is because I did a couple streams on TikTok. They allowed you with their studio. I download their studio software. They allow new streamers to try it out, and then you have to apply for permission for a stream key for Streamlabs. Are you familiar with any of this, or?
No, I'm so far out on TikTok that I haven't hardly touched it.
Okay, yeah. Either way, yeah. They let you stream with their software to try it out, and then you have to apply for them. This is before you have 1,000 followers, because you need 1,000 followers to go live on TikTok. I believe that's still the standard. But if you don't have 1,000 followers, then they allow you to do a couple streams with their studios, with their software, their producer software. And I did that a few times, and they give you stats after your live stream, and it tells you like average watch time, right? And it's like 2-3 seconds.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like, wow, that is really,
Yeah.
that's a lot of throughput. You know what I mean?
That is.
Yeah.
That's probably what happens with my live stream after I'm live. Often enough, I have a lot of views that come in after I'm live, and or a lot of views that happen that I don't like see correlate to viewers in the stream. So it's like Facebook's pushing my stream through the video feed, and people are just flipping through with reels and everything, and they see it, and they're like, okay, that's cool. And next one, just keep on going. So I feel like that's a lot of what's happening with my live streams, at least.
Yeah. So, I mean, a lot of streamers do well on TikTok. I see it,
Yeah.
and that's awesome.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a very important stat, though. The average watch time. I feel like that's something you should, as a streamer, pay attention to.
Agreed.
And I feel like, which brings me to the next thing I want to talk to you about is format. You had a very interesting poll a couple weeks ago, was it?
Yeah, it was like a week ago.
And the poll, why don't you explain the poll?
The poll, so I had done, okay, before I get to that, originally, when I first started going live, I was trying everything to figure out this whole algorithm thing that's what we've been talking about. So I'm like, well, maybe I can cater to the audience and do a vertical stream. And what a vertical stream is you change your resolution to where it fills up most of your phone, to where it's all the way down. So I had a large gameplay. I had my camera down below. The chat was on top of the camera down low, so it wasn't like impeding the gameplay. It was a good setup, and that's what I originally had. I got a good push off of it. It was great. I took that away for a while, trying to appease all platforms. I wasn't trying to do a mobile on one and do different scenes. It was a big giant pain. So I went back to the 16:9 like we are here. And then the other day I decided, hey, let's do another vertical stream. Maybe it'll mess with the algorithm. Maybe we'll get a good big push off of it or some numbers, see what happens. I did the stream. It was fine. Didn't do anything out of the ordinary. An absolutely normal stream. After the stream, I did a poll and I asked, what do you guys prefer? Whether that is a vertical setup or a horizontal setup. And mind you, you want to understand that most Facebook viewers, like 90% plus, are mobile viewers. They are on their phone. You're not watching on PC. Most people are not watching on the PC. I think all of them, every vote, 50 votes or so, was for horizontal. Nobody wanted the vertical, even though most people were still on the cell phones. So one thing you do is you listen to your community, and we went right back to the horizontal format, and we stayed there.
So that is really interesting. So I saw that
That's crazy.
100% of the people who responded said they wanted the 16:9 widescreen.
Yeah.
And you said 50 people responded?
Yeah, it was something like 50 votes, yeah.
Wow. I was kind of blown away by that.
I was too. I at first I was like, okay, like 7 or 8, and a couple of like locals and normal people are making a joke out of it. Great, but when it got up to like 30 and 0, I'm like, wow, okay, I get it.
Yeah. You know what's interesting? I feel like there's more people watching it on their TV and their computer than I expected. I think the conventional wisdom is everyone's watching on their phone. But I say just to throw a number out there, 90% of people watching on their phone, right? I feel like it's a little less though. I feel like because I have a lot of people in my streams say that, oh, I'm casting you to the TV, you're on the big screen, Joe. So I mean, it would be really interesting to find out how many people, and I almost did a poll like this. I almost did a poll where, how do you mostly watch streams? Mobile, on your TV, cast to your TV, on your computer, or on a tablet?
That's a good one to actually poll. I'll do that one on my page next, and we'll post up the results, man.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. That'd be an interesting stat to know.
Sure. I got a weird push on those. Those did very well for votes. Like I didn't expect that many people to pay attention to it.
Yeah, I didn't either. And it was the result was way unexpected, but
right, yeah.
Wow, yeah. So speaking of which, so I asked you this off stream, and we discussed it a little bit, but For you know, successful streamers, like successful streamers, is it, there's a distinction between speedrunners, you know, expert players, right? People who are expert in a certain genre or game, and then there's casual play, right? It's in my opinion, I feel like all of those style play can be successful in streaming.
Sure.
Yeah. So I guess the question is, does it matter? Does it matter what type of play you have, and how important is personality? How important is setup? We just talked about format. And I feel like, going back to the format just for 1 second, I feel like it is platform dependent on that end as well.
Sure.
So,
yeah, and
yeah, go ahead. Yeah,
I think it boils down to mostly just engagement. Being able to still engage with your audience and keep your gameplay interesting. Of course, you're going to attract several different types of people, whether I mean, for expert play and hardcore gamer, speedrunners wanting to watch that game or their game, or casual. It's all different. I think a different audience type, and some people like to watch all. I think if you get too absorbed in your game, you may see a drop in viewership, and you may not be making those connections. And if you don't evaluate that, it may cost you in your stream later on. I think that's a little bit of what happened when I started learning new speed runs. For me, I knew Coretti very well, and I was really good with that one. But when I started learning new speed runs and trying to do different ones, it kind of slowed down and fell off. I think a large part of it was I was concentrated more on the game than I was on engaging with the community. I think having a healthy mix of that is the best idea overall.
A healthy
and
mix.
It lets you to make the connections, and then also lets you have a good high quality gameplay, and then also let you have those days to have casual games and not like sweat it out, because you need those days as a streamer. This is not something that you can just plug in. You're like, oh, I'm playing a video game every day. It's simple. You can run into those days where you have a headache and you're tired and you've played that game and you don't want to do it, and you just gotta grind through it and do it. And it's not always easy. It's a fun job, but it's still a job, you know.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up, because I think most people, like, if you interview them on the street, would say, "Oh, you play video games for a living? So you don't have a job then. You just have fun every day, right?" And for people who say that, I always kind of lead with the story that I lead with, you know who, and I can't believe him, Steve Harvey, who hosts Family Feud. You know that show?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Steve Harvey.
Yeah.
Okay. So Steve Harvey is a host of a show. So every day, every time they film, they record, he has to go in front of a camera, put a smile on his face, and be funny, right? That's his job, right? I always say, well, what if he had a fight with his wife 10 minutes before he had to go on camera? What if he got upset at something? What if he just, something bad happened to him, or he was upset, he was emotional, whatever? 10 minutes to live. You got to get in front of the camera and on that mic, and you got to be funny, and you got to be entertaining every day. Do you think
It's not easy, dude.
Let me ask you this, Greg. Do you want to play video games every single day?
I don't want to play games every day. I have to admit. I mean, sometimes, and this is the thing, is right now, you see it's next gen gaming, but you obviously see a lot of retro stuff going through my channel, and some newer stuff. But a lot of those days, it's just the games that I have to play or the videos I have to make. It's just not what I want to play. I don't want to do that. I want to sit here and play Helldivers, or I want to watch streams or something. You know, it's not always what I want to do. Absolutely.
Yeah, you're right, and it is a job. 100%, it is a job. Sometimes I'm super tired, and I just want to lay down and take a nap or whatever, right? And and I come to my stream and I give it 100%, and just like you would getting up for a job, oh, I'm tired. I don't feel like going to work today. Yeah, okay, right?
I
was watching a streamer earlier, say in his stream, and I would 100% agree with him. He said, in order to stay relevant, you got to put out content all the time.
True.
And I think that's, if you're a content creator or a live streamer, I think that's really good advice.
It's very much so, because the second you stop putting out content, they start moving on. But there's a different forms of that. And the same times, like, we have a choice in what we do in our content and how we work ours. There's a guy out there. This was an example. His name was Tfue. He was a Fortnite streamer. He got locked into a contract. It was something like 300 hours a month. Like, you had to stream 10 hours a day, my guy, and he has to do that every day, the same game for hours and hours and hours. You get so sick of it, but dude, he's making a ton of money. But dude, it's extremely hard to put that mental drain, even on a game you used to let it make you hate it because you had to play it so much, and it's very difficult, very difficult.
So I think of all these COD streamers, right?
Yeah,
it's COD has kind of dropped off a bit now, but you know, rewind 6 months ago, a year ago, whatever, same game every single day. And I swear, even the really successful streamers, some of these guys making tons of money, you know, 5, 6, 1K views and, you know, 1K live viewers, whatever. Dude, I see it on their face sometimes, you know, just like, I don't feel like playing this game anymore. Yeah. And they're there and they're, but hey, man, it's like you said, it's a job. You come to it every day, you know?
And those crazy things that happen too. There, another Fortnite streamer, and I was mixed up in watching these guys for a while. More recently, the reason why Ninja had quit playing Fortnite as often is because Epic Games they were handing out contracts to newer streamers to play all the time without like handing out contracts to him. They were getting like sponsored streams to come back and play a game that he had been grinding and made popular for them, and he wasn't getting those sponsors because he was already playing the game. He's like, well, guess what? I guess I'm not going to play your game anymore. You know, what are you going to do? It's not always a fair business out there, and you got to make your content where you are. Sometimes you put all your eggs into one basket in that one game. It doesn't work out. It's tough.
Yeah. Speaking of which, have you noticed that COD has kind of dropped off?
Yeah, COD's in trouble right now. I think it's because they've continued to make the same game every year. They haven't updated their servers to where they're competitive with like Valorant servers or with like Dota 2 servers and other competitive shooter servers. It's just, on top of that, they've got some cheesy skins in there, and it's just not the COD that it used to be, you know. And now, you know.
I will say this though, there was a mode on the new COD. I guess it was what was it? Black Ops 6. Is that what it was? Yeah. There was a mode on it which looked kind of interesting. It had like neon colors. I don't know. I forget what it was, but they did change the skins, and I think they diluted it a bit. But I wanted to move on to something that really gets under my skin, and I know we talked about it a little bit, but ads. So now, I think it's a very important topic in streaming and content creation. And I think the important thing is to ask, when are ads appropriate? Because my whole thing is pre-roll ads, especially for small streamers, is let's just say it's a detriment. I was gonna say agree. A death blow, but maybe we shouldn't go that.
It may be a death blow though, because what if it's that person, or you cost yourself that 5 or 10 people that ended up watching an ad instead of your stream? They could have been hooked on what you were playing and they never saw it because they seen the ad. They're like, I don't want to do this. I do it all the time. I can't stand it on Twitch or whatever. I can't stand it. I can't stand watching pre-roll ads on anybody's stream. But you know, if it's that super popular streamer that I really want to see what's going on with that content, I might stick around for it. But if it's somebody that I've just met or I don't know specifically, a smaller streamer, it's much not, it's, you know, I want to support smaller streamers too, but you got to help support yourself. And this is the thing, is I've got ads on live. I've seen what the revenue is here. I've seen what the ad revenue is on Twitch for the live streams. Unless you are a big streamer, it's not worth costing yourself those connections with the viewers. It's just not.
Yeah, so countless times I see a streamer and small streamers,
I made
six,
the same
eight,
mistake. Yeah.
yeah, 6, 8, 10 people watching, whatever. And I'm like, oh, this looks cool. I click on it to watch it. 2 60-second ads. 2 60-second ads. I'm like, later. That's it. Done.
Yeah. There was one time I walked into one, he had 8 ads going, and I was like, man, like I want to support this. I want to like be a part. Yeah, but God, 8 ads at the beginning of it. I'll find it somewhere else. I don't care anymore.
You know, it's really sad because what my intention is to check out the streamer to see if I like it. You don't even give me a chance to do that. You know, so I feel like ads for small streamers, I mean, the revenue isn't worth the loss in audience, in my opinion. Now,
Right, for the live stream. Yeah.
live stream for small streamers, especially on Twitch. Twitch, I don't think has a good model for their ads on their platform, but that's just my opinion. But however, on the flip side, that's how you make most of your revenue, right?
It's true. Not with live stream ads though. It's through the ads on the VODs. That started out as a program. It's called In-Stream Ads on Facebook. You had to have 5,000 followers, and you had to have some amount of views on your videos in order to get invited to this program. They would put ads on your live videos, and you would get revenue from those. That's how I essentially run my page. It's how I get revenue from my page. Is I post about a half dozen retro videos a day. Best content I can do, as best I can cater to the algorithm, whether I can do like requests and stuff from the community, whatever I'm going to be posting, I try to space it out throughout the day and get it posted. And that does have some ad stuff on it. I think with the new program they're doing, the content monetization here on Facebook, I'm not sure how much ad is involved with that. I don't know if people have been saying they've seen ads on my videos or not lately, but they're still giving me the revenues for the engagement. So yeah, ads on the VODs, I would say for sure. Just because the content's checkable, it's dependable, it's there, and you don't have to worry about some advertiser being mad that your live stream put something up that they didn't want to be a part of and their ad was up on the live stream.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. But yeah, I guess the whole conclusion about that is where ads are appropriate, I think they can benefit a streamer, but oftentimes, especially for smaller streamers and especially in live streams, I think platforms need to consider that when it comes to small streamers.
It's important to respectfully know your place as a streamer, but also, you know, platforms could do well, especially Facebook. There's mass opportunity to help out and to grow a platform here. Yeah.
I was just gonna say, platforms should be aiming to help smaller streamers grow, not push them down. You know, and maybe not intentionally. Maybe it's just a thing they set up that they don't know that it's not good for small streamers.
I think it makes sense though in the long run. You like, how many top streamers do you have right now, and they get put in through contracts or sponsorships. The next thing you know, they're not going live anymore, and they're changing the platform, or they're getting paid to go somewhere else, not showing where your content's at, you know. So I think catering to the smaller, wider audience of smaller streamers is the better idea as a business overall anyway. But I don't run the business. That's not mine.
Yeah, I agree with you. I want to move on to a subject that I consider you an expert on, and that is Kaizo.
Oh.
So, first of all, for those of you that don't know, would you consider yourself an expert Kaizo player, Greg?
I feel like I'm in the middle somewhere. I don't feel like I'm top of the line or anything, because there's some very, very good Kaizo players out there. But when I put myself to it and I do play, I'm very good.
So, well, I consider you an expert. So, from my perspective.
Thank you.
So, So I want to ask you a couple questions before we head out about Kaizo, because I'm curious myself, because I'm starting
Sure.
to get obsessed with Kaizo. So what better person to ask?
Yeah.
So so what's your favorite Kaizo game?
Favorite one's probably Invictus. I know I run Celeste SMC a lot on the speed run and the full play right now, but probably Invictus just because the nostalgia factor, and it's a little bit longer, more of a Mario oriented game versus Celeste dashing around being crazy.
So for the viewers that don't know what Kaizo is, can you give an explanation of what it is?
Sure, Kaizo. I think when it started out, it was a Japanese term. The Japanese term for Kaizo, I think, is modded or changed or modified. And Kaizo is essentially Super Mario World that we all played when we were kids. The one with Yoshi. They've essentially just changed it all around. It's just a modified version of that game. Usually much harder. Sometimes it's just as easy. You have very easy hacks. You have intermediate hacks. You have expert hacks. You have hacks that are considered tool assisted, where you are expected to use rewind or save states to beat the level, whatever it may be. There's all forms of Kaizo out there. You could even do what they call standard Mario hacks, which is not so much of the Kaizo tricks jumping through all in succession, but it runs more like a Mario game. So it would be just a different version or a harder version of your standard Super Mario World. A lot of people start with the standards and then go into Kaizo, or just stay with the standards, one or the other. It's all on your matter of preference and how much pain you want to put yourself through.
So essentially, very difficult.
Right, very difficult Super Mario World, yeah.
Yeah, very difficult mods of Super Mario World, basically.
Sure.
And most of them are ROM hacks, right? But some of them are outside of ROM hacks as well, right?
I believe all of them are ROM hacks. Some of them specifically have to be played through an emulator and not through, like, say, a standard console. Through like an FX Pack Pro, which is like something you would get an SD card that goes into a cart and goes into your original Super Nintendo and plays whatever games on the SD card.
All right. Yeah. So that we can get into that some other time, but
Sure.
It's really interesting that from a tech perspective, why you need to play certain hacks on a certain emulator.
The reason why is because they've got so much extra coding. They've changed the game so much that it won't run properly on an original system anymore, and it doesn't recognize the coding that's there. So it's essential to run it on an emulator. Celeste.smc is one of those that you're supposed to run on an emulator, just because of all the extra coding and the different changes that he made. It took him like 3 or 4 years to make that game. So.
Wow, really? Actually, I wanted to ask you about this too. You mentioned Invictus giving you like old school vibes, or what was the word? Nostalgia? Yeah, which is the same
Nostalgia,
as old school vibes. Yeah. So when did that game come out?
Invictus came out, I believe it was, I want to say 2018 or 2016. It's not an old game, but it's an older Kaizo. When it came out, Kaizo, I would say chocolate Kaizo was not popular, and what I mean by chocolate is there was a lot of different physics and different coding in Kaizo, such as double jump or wall slides, or a bunch of different kinds of sprites. Tons of different things they refer to as chocolate, low gravity, slow shells, tons of different things. I'll run a Kaizo hack. It's called The Legend of the Hidden Thwimple here in the next couple of days, and it's got a lot of chocolate in it that changes things around that aren't normal Mario physics. And I'll show you guys what I mean there.
Cool. Yeah, that's awesome. So a question I want to ask you, which is probably a complicated answer, but how has Kaizo evolved over the past years when Invictus came out? So you said 16, 18, so that's what, 8 years ago, say, roughly?
Right.
Yeah.
It started out more of just mods of the original Super Mario World, and they were really hard. Don't get me wrong, but they didn't have nearly as many of these custom coded physics and what they call. I don't even know what the term actually is. They call it an ASM, but they're just different coded physics, different coded items that do abnormal things that would not be found in the original Super Mario World. Original Super Mario World you refer to as vanilla, and then all these other hacks and everything are homebrews, and then these physics and everything that we refer to in the Mario games, we call them chocolate, which changes the game up.
Okay, so that actually makes sense. So originally, when Kaizo Hackster first started to come out, they kind of was restricted and relied solely on the original physics of the original game.
Gained popularity, and they've changed and evolved and gotten way better since then. They're so good. There's so many very, very, very creative things done with Kaizo. Incredibly creative. If you guys want to figure out and find that, SMW Central, it's a website. They've got everything Kaizo hack you would possibly want. They have moderators. They have everything you need.
Nice. That's really interesting. Yeah, like I said, I'm starting to get a little bit fixated on Kaizo. We talked about this too. I was especially fascinated with Mario 3 Kaizo, which is different than Super Mario World Kaizo, which most Kaizos are.
Right, yeah, the jump itself, like Mario's jump is extremely unique, both in Mario 3 and in Super Mario World. They're both Mario jumps, but they're very different Mario jumps. The physics and everything are definitely different. In Mario 3, I think Mario 3 Kaizo is probably harder than Super Mario World Kaizo.
What's the hardest Kaizo game you've ever played?
The hardest one is, it's called Transliberation Forever. It is an incredibly hard hack. I would consider it to be played with tool assisted, but it's not. It's beatable, human beatable, but you have to be a madman to want to beat that. That's one that I played through with tool assist. I did not beat that personally. The hardest one that I beat through without tool assist is going to be the expert path through the speed run of Celeste that I've done. That does take a lot of time to learn. It took a couple of months to put together. Me and Marky Porter, a viewer of mine, that runs the game as well, and we just kept going through and finding cuts and paths and under the maps and everything until we came up with what we have today.
All right, so here's a question I wanted to ask you too. Since I consider you an expert, do you hold any world records in Kaizo?
Yeah, I do technically. On speedrun.com, you can submit speedruns to your games, and this isn't specifically to Kaizo or Super Mario World. This goes for Mario 3 or Zelda or any other game that comes out. They post speedruns on here all the time at speedrun.com, and I think I've held 4 of them. The original one I got was for Super Karate Kaizo World, which I still have. I beat that record by like 5 seconds, and the person I beat is an incredibly good Kaizo player. And if he probably wanted the record, he would go back and steal it. But the other 3 ended up getting beat because they were in competitions and very, very optimized. Yeah.
Cool. That's awesome, man.
We do world records around here.
That's awesome, dude. That is amazing. I don't know where I first heard. I don't know if I heard you say it in a stream or I saw you post about it, but you mentioned something about holding a world record. I was like, yes, dude, that is awesome. And you said that you had held some world records, but they've gotten beat. But you still do hold some that you do have it still, right? Or one or two.
Yeah, I do still have one. And if you watch my stream in the intro, if I let it play long enough, you'll see me my reaction and everything to beating that. It's the one where I go, I did it. Yes. And yeah, I freak out. But that's me. That's my form of content. And, I have a good time. I chill. But dude, when I beat the game, sometimes I can't contain it. It's just the way it is.
I know. Me too, dude. Me too. Yes. That's awesome, man. Well, all right. We'll end the questioning there.
Sure.
Does anyone have any questions for Greg or me? But Greg is our guest.
Yeah, Joe, if you have questions on the other platforms, I've only got Facebook open at the moment. So if you got other, feel free to just read it out to me. No problem.
Absolutely. Yep. So, no, regardless of what platform you're watching on, if you have any questions for Greg or any questions in general that we could address. And by the way, thank you very much, Greg, for doing this. I really appreciate it.
I like Chris's question.
Probably Greg.
Tune in next week. No, I'm just playing.
Jimmy, watching the world record, Super Mario Brothers 1 is pretty neat. Yeah, I think I've seen that.
Dude, that's so hard to do. Like I've ran Mario 1 on speedrun, even with a Taz assist at like 6 or 7 minutes. And dude, the world record, what? Like how, dude? How? It's good. They're good.
Cool. So does Greg play Tetris? James wants to know.
I've played some Tetris. I'm not anywhere near the expert that I said, dude. I'm incredibly intimidated watching the Tetris 99 streams. You guys are fucking awesome. And excuse the F there, but you guys are awesome. I have no business even attempting to compete with that. You guys are very good. I like watching it though.
So much fun. So much fun. Yeah. It's so much fun. Tony wants to know, what's the best game you like to play?
Lately, it's been that Dungeons of Infinity that we've had the most fun with that, man. I've been smashing that. I've been doing really good with it. I've had a good time learning it and playing it and doing the challenges. Outside of the retro, I really like Helldivers too. That's been my go-to game outside of that. That's just a modern shooter. It's a live service, but it's like if you ever watched that movie Starship Troopers back in the day. Yeah, It's that, but a video game.
Have you ever played Ultima? Ronald wants to know.
I don't think I've tried Ultima. What is that, Ronald?
I think it's an old school RPG. I think. I've never played it, so I'm not sure.
I'll have to try it, dude. We'll put some video up, man. We'll figure it out.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah. All right. Give like another 20-ish seconds for anyone else who has a question for Greg. I
have never had a shoey though to answer that. I know it's a question we don't revolve around, but no, I never had a shoey. The Bailey's question.
Yeah.
I think that's something that goes on in Ricky's stream.
So yeah, I was gonna say, you don't want to drink Bailey's from a shoey, right? You want to drink like let's see, what would be good?
I think he just does Aussie beer, and I don't know how he does even then.
Foster's? It's not Australian. Yeah. Actually, I don't know. It's a whole thing.
Foster's Australian for beer.
Yeah. But I feel like a strong IPA or like definitely not Guinness. Something with bite to it would be a good shoey, like an IPA or like
right.
I don't know.
I'm not much of a drinker. I never have been, man. Unfortunately.
Yeah,
for everybody, I'm pretty.
No, me neither, man. Me neither. But I appreciate some good beers and some good stuff. Yeah. Cool. Let's see. Does anyone else have any questions for Greg?
Now, Ronald, you can't go over there. You got to be over here and be the grumpy guy here.
Ronald, check him out. Everyone check Greg out.
Yeah, every stream needs a Ronald.
So Greg, can you tell everyone one more time where they can find all your stuff?
Mostly, like I said, I'm on Facebook Gaming here at Next Gen Gaming. It's just searchable on Facebook. I think it's been tagged here in the stream once or twice. Mostly just here. I do live streams and I do retro VODs. I do plan on probably firing up the YouTube to go multi-stream and probably do long plays of the shorts that I do here on Facebook. I don't feel like Facebook likes to do the longer videos, so we're going to see if maybe YouTube likes to do that. I don't know, but most of the time I'm right here on Facebook and I pop up in everybody's chats, and I'm around. Yeah, Next Gen Gaming, correct, Chris?
Cool, man. Well, I want to thank you again for doing this. It was a lot of fun, man. And anything else you'd like to add, or?
That's it, man. Thanks for letting me do it. I'm just glad to be here. I'm glad to be part of the community. And yeah.
That's awesome, dude. Well, everyone have a good night. This was the first stream talk with Retro Joe and Greg from Next Gen. Appreciate it, brother. Appreciate
Thank you guys.
you all being here. And we'll see you soon. Peace out.
All right.